Marker tackles is not number one. There's some weird marker tackle stats that came around in some games over the years. But yeah, tackles. He's your man.
There you go. Okay, congratulations to Catalan. Bit of a surprising one then. Down at Huddersfield, though, it was Huddersfield 24, Wakefield 16. Mark, do you remember McGilvery scored his 4th try in 3 games as the Giants fought back to beat Trinity at home. Sam Wood grabbed 2 tries in 3 minutes to give Huddersfield an early lead before Liam Finn responded for Trin. Ben Jones Bishop then grabbed a first half double of his own to help put Wakefield 16-8 up at the break. Ukumatai and Oliver Roberts' tries edged the Giants back in front before McGilvray completed the win for the Giants.
Yeah, Ukumatai's come at a cost on it because he's picked up a potential suspension. He's been charged.
And Jerry's hurt himself as well.
Jermaine McGilvray picked up an injury which is going to be damaging 6 weeks or so.
Are we going to stop helping people with the dream teams? Do you think we should stop reporting injuries?
No, I think...
Neither of them are in my dream team, so I'm not fussed.
I've got to take Jerry out of mine.
Right.
Fan reviews. We'll start with
Mark W.
Mark W, who is a Huddersfield Giants fan. He said, I was wondering whether we'd play the way we did versus Widnes or versus Salford. In the end, we did both. First half was terrible, but we came out with a totally different attitude in the second and deserved the win. Bruffy's assist for the last try was phenomenal, and the conversion got him his place in the history book. Congratulations, going into the top 10 point scorers of all time.
Phenomenal achievement and a phenomenal career. DVD Hep got in touch. I wonder if this is Hep Cahill's sideline. Maybe he's in business with Gaz Rayner.
No, Hep Cahill's sideline is a personal trainer business. Yeah.
I mean, you could pay money to have Hep Cahill stretch your
I'm impressed by his production.
I bet you are. I absolutely bet you are, Mark. Right. DVD Hep said Wakey lost because their game management in the second half was naive at best. When they were in control for large parts of the match, it was because they completed their sets and exploited subsequent chances. In the second half, they didn't complete, gave away silly penalties and allowed the Giants back into the game. Brough won the game with an outrageous piece of talent, but was also guilty of some cynical play.
Shocker.
Guilty of some cynical play, the Danny Brough story.
At Wakey White says, this was a strange game where Wakefield were the better side for much of the contest. However, poor game management, a bit of Brough magic and a dubious ref call at a critical moment swung it for Huds, who deserved the 2 points in the end. BJB scored an absolute belter and another great game from Grit. Disappointed but not disheartened. The quest for a Super League win continues.
Excellent.
BJB's try, have you seen that one?
No.
Honestly, it's get watching it. It's one of the greatest individual tries you're likely to ever see. It felt like he ran through, round, across the pitch twice.
Right.
It just felt like he ran forever to give himself the opportunity to score, beat a lot of tackles, made a lot of people look silly. Unfortunately, he picked up a knock in this game as well. But that showed what talent he does have in his brightest moments.
There you go. Now we move on to some true Super League pod royalty, a foundation listener at Witchwood Lady Marie Wright. Always a pleasure to hear from Marie. She got in touch, she's a Huddersfield fan, and said it was a nail-biting mix of thrills and spills. A great first 10 minutes with 2 tries from the baby giant Sam Wood. Many errors from the Giants saw Wakefield lead 16-8 at half-time. We struggled again in the second half until the last 20 minutes when Ty scored, followed closely by Oliver Roberts. And a break by Danny Brough and a superb kick to McGilvray to lead 24-16. We held on through 3 dropouts and then almost scored on the hooter. Phew. What did the stats tell us on this one, Mark?
Well, there's some of the big numbers that usually indicate where a game's won, stuff like metres, really, an average gain, and even the penalty count were very close. The penalty count was 9 each side. The metres and negligible difference in those other stats. That's probably reflecting what people are saying about Wakefield were every bit as good as Huddersfield's match, apart from with game management stuff towards the end, I suppose. This game also had the most combined negative plays this year so far, though, with 97, so that's missed tackles, errors and penalties combined for the two sides. Huddersfield, whilst more error-prone with 12 to Wakefield 7, were better in defence, 1.7% better team tackle success. They made more breaks, 5 to 3. shows that when their passes did stick, they had the cutting edge at 5-2 in tries.
Excellent.
So 5-3 in tries and 5-2 in breaks, the other way around.
I'm with you.
But either way, yeah.
There you go. Individually,
so Huddersfield better
Yeah.
in attacking positions when they kept hold of it.
Right. Individually, who stood out for us?
Well, Danny Brough, obviously mentioned entering the top 10 record books wise. 3 try assists. This is like the second week in a row, I think, he's had 3 try assists. He's going to be up at the top of that chart again this year. Cruz Leeming, a player who is impressing many, started in the hooking position in this game. 2 try assists, 56 tackles, 16 of which were marker tackles, 108 metres as well.
Phenomenal.
Proper going both ways there. Sam Wood got a game here in place of Leroy Cudjoe, and it was 2 tries for him, 3 clean breaks. Akuma Tai with a try 134 metres, and Jerry McGilvery a try 163 metres. So 2 players that might be missed over the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. And for Trinity, who stood out?
Well, Matty Ashurst, defensive masterclass here. 44 tackles, 12 marker tackles, no missed tackles from the second rower. Bill Tupu with 136 metres, Tom Johnston with 120 metres. Did some work coming out of their own territory. Craig Hubie with 106 metres, started the game at loose forward in this one. Ben Jones-Bishop, 2 tries, 5 tackles, 167 metres, 2 clean breaks, was probably the star on the field. That electric try. Watch it.
Yes, I will be doing straight after this. At the same time, then, down at Headingley, it was Leeds Rhinos 20, Salford Red Devils 14, a close one. Leeds going on to record their second win of the season thanks to a late try from Liam Sutcliffe. Salford had led at the break after Gaz O'Brien and Chris Welland tries had cancelled out Ryan Hall's finished, but it was Jimmy Kinehorst's second Super League try of the season that put Leeds in front. With Logan Tompkins crossing to level with 10 minutes remaining. Sutcliffe's score, which had a dubious looking forward pass in the build-up, ended the visitors' hopes, though, late on. A close one for the Rhinos. Called it. I even got the points difference on this one. I was pleased with this, the way this turned out.
Well, you were pleased.
Salfordians less so.
Adam Cuthbertson auditioning for the NFL.
It was.
We've had 2 fan reviews.
It's good thing you don't go to the video ref for forward passes. Let's put it that way.
Two fan reviews, both from the land down under. In fact, from Leeds fans from afar. So it would have been nice to get some views of people at the game on this one. So bear that in mind, Leeds and Salford fans listening. For next time. But Mitchell Dart says, sounds like we won the game off a forward pass or reverse backwards pass, as I like to think of it.
That's great.
Oh, and we only face Cass next week. Well, Rich Wilkinson says, another solid display from Leeds in defence against another team who will take plenty of scalps. Attack is improving and so is the kicking game. A real acid test next up to see where we are at. It's interesting heading to Cass as massive underdogs, as that's been 90% of their team talk forever. Let's see how they handle it. I reckon we will get Maguire to get his standard Cass try.
I don't think you're massive underdogs. I think that gives you a bit of wiggle room for when Castleford beat you, but they're certainly going slight underdogs.
Well,
I would say,
by the looks of the stats and the highlights that I've seen, contain Cuthbertson, get the calls on his errors, and
you go a long way to beating Leeds.
I think so. He seemed to be crucial to any sort of creativity down the middle, although Maguire stepped up again in terms of his recovery. Interesting to see Sutcliffe being used from the bench. I'm not sure how they're coming in. I guess Burrow spelled Parcell at hooker and then Burrow went off. I'm guessing. It seems like they don't know how to put halves together.
I think that getting back to your Cuthbertson thing, it's almost like McDermott hasn't learned the lesson of last season in him, in that Cuthbertson's first season was phenomenal because he was a relatively unknown prospect, and he came in and his game was unexpected to people for a period of time, and he had a wonderful season. The following season, he was found out a little bit, and people legislated for him, and they've not kind of learned that they've not legislated for the fact that he's been legislated for.
But in the last 2 games, he hasn't been controlled. That's the point I was making. Like, they've been able to score the tries they have been able to score because of him not being controlled, and not because of any more improved creative play from the rest of their playmaking axis, which was the problem last year. Was that he wasn't being able to create. There was no interplay between the forwards like there was the year before at all, and the halfbacks weren't able to do anything off the back of, actually, when you look at when you deep dive into the numbers, some still very solid prop forward displays in terms of metres gained and stuff like that from Leeds Rhinos players.
But I still feel like I know they've won 2 games, but I think they could be doing more.
Yes.
I think they'll solve their attacking problems if they...
Because they've not got anything else going at all. That's what, other than the kind horse, which when I was writing his name down in stats, I struggled to write. I actually had to re-look at how to spell his actual name because I can't even say kind horse anymore without thinking Jimmy the Kind Horse. So stats wise, Leeds had much more ball, 42 more carries over the game, making 313 more metres. Despite an even penalty count, a close total offload numbers between the teams, and tackle bus numbers, I think there was 1 either way. Salford were able to create problems, 9 breaks by them to 5 from Leeds, but ended up with 2 more errors in a fairly clean handling game, 16 errors overall. Inability to convert their breaks into points and their kicks into goals hurt Salford in the end, 3 missed kicks from O'Brien proving crucial.
There you go, and... individually then, who stood out for us?
Well, Danny Maguire with 2 try assists, so getting some form back there at least. Callum Watkins 114 metres, Mitch Garbutt 130 metres, Adam Cuthbertson 141 metres and 7 successful offloads. Asterix, obviously, for one of them. Jimmy the Kind Horse with a try and 118 metres, and it was a good old-fashioned Leeds style try, that Jimmy the Kind Horse one.
It did. Excellent. For Salford then?
Pertinent that Robert Louis comes up in the week that you've been raising money for Refuge with your efforts. Okay. 1 try assist, 3 clean breaks. Gareth O'Brien 1 try, 2 clean breaks. Junior South 5 tackle bus 133 metres, and Chris Wellham with 1 try 142 metres.
Good for... I like to see Chris Wellham do well. Good for him. Okay, Lee Centurions hung on to beat St Helens for their first Super League win since returning to Britain's top flights this week, Mark. Tries from Atalaya Vea, Gauss Hock, giving a dream team, and Jamie Acton had put Lee 18 points to 4 up at the break with Saints' only first half score. An acrobatic effort from the hangdog himself, Adam Swift. Second half scores from James Roby and Alex Walmsley gave Saints hope of salvaging something, but Mickey Himes' late try ensured Lee's first Super League victory.
Yeah, Frogmore, St Helens fan from Tasmania, got in touch first. This was a game where we just didn't seem ourselves able to roll up the ground but couldn't execute the finish. Our usually strong defence appeared to be left at home. I don't think failure can be held as the reason of losing over robbing us of at least 2 tries. Lee were just the better team that night, and fair play to them. Okay,
Shep got in touch, and from reading this, it looks like he's a Lee fan.
I hope so.
I would encourage you to keep getting in touch, mate, because we'd love to hear what Lee fans think of this. He says, belting our first win of Super League 2017, and it was thoroughly deserved. The defence was absolutely superb, which started with Hock's try-saving tackle on the line. Saints' speed with the ball was threatening but didn't cause too much scare. A couple of their key players weren't on the ball, and Lee capitalised on that with superb performances, notably from Reynolds, Hock, Hansen and Hyam. Lee deserved the win.
Dom Hodgson said, well, that shit on my Super Brew, didn't it?
Yes, it surely did.
Do you know what?
Credit to Lee.
Frogmore makes a very fine point about St Helens. I constantly talk about their goal line defence, but where they lost this game was the 3 first half tries, I think they were all in the first half, to Hock, Vea and Acton, which were kind of close to the line efforts.
Yes, they were.
That Saints weren't able to account for, really, and very well done for Lee to capitalise, like we spoke about, on that early period they get.
Yeah.
But this time, not slip away, despite some of their traits in terms of constantly conceding penalties, and letting the other team back into the game, kind of coming back for them, but they went through it. It shows a resilience that they didn't show against Leeds. That bodes well.
It certainly does, and credit to them as well, because I hadn't picked this out. I genuinely thought they'd go the first 5 or 6 games of the season without winning a game. So it represents for me steady progress for Lee. They've improved week on week. Now, if you're looking at that as a performance indicator, that's a good sign for Neil Jukes' team in terms of getting up to the pace of Super League on a regular basis, and actually it bodes well for them as the season progresses that they get up to that match pace and that consistent level of that required level of performance week in, week out, doesn't it? Gives them real hope